Hi, everyone. I'm Chris Hackala, and welcome to Beyond My Knowing. In case you're new to the channel, I talk about my awakening in regards to my visions and dreams and events that have happened in my life since all this started. So sit down and enjoy. We'll get started with August of 2025, and this is the last day of August. Oh, real quick. Today, we are creating this episode in the Trout Creek Mountains down in southeast Oregon, deep in the Oregon outback. So, this is some pretty sacred land up here, and now we're going to get started. So, the last day of August 2025, and this is narrated by my beloved and also by myself and Source. My beloved and I decided to go for a drive out to the forest. When I was putting things in the Jeep, I heard toenails scurrying on the sidewalk, but I didn't see anything. My beloved said that she could see the wolves bringing their family together to meet us in the forest. Then we drove our car to the sacred spot in the forest. As we were driving through the forest, we came across a small herd of 5 turkeys. They had crossed the road in front of us and were going up the hillside of the mountain. They were moving slow and ignoring us and just eating all the different plants and bushes. Before we sat down to meditate, we went for a walk in the forest to see if we could find any mushrooms or turkey feathers. I found a tiny one that looked like a small turkey feather, and a few minutes later, my beloved found the large left wing feather of a turkey. So cool that we were gifted those feathers. When we got back to the meadow, we sat our chairs up so we would have a view of Mount Washington. Then I offered tobacco and cedar to the 4 directions for our sacred space. Then we sat down to meditate and bring in the beautiful sounds of the wind and the birds of the forest. As I was dropping in with my meditation, I felt a being right behind my right shoulder, just standing there. I didn't think much of it at the time. Then we went for a short walk, and my beloved was told by that being that since I called him in, I need to sit in my energy longer and connect. So I went back to my chair and sat and reconnected, and that is when it all started. Source and the beings started to direct my beloved, and my beloved was directing me. At this time, I was directed to start breathing into my sacred womb space, allowing Grandmother Moon and Grandfather Sun to weave together and bringing balance. The crescent moon came through before this, and Chris was directed to start doing deep breathing through his nose and exhaling out through his mouth. Then they were requiring Chris to open his mouth wider and wider until he could roar like a lion. There were points of being very uncomfortable with this because Chris was not used to opening his mouth that wide. This was also activating his throat chakra and bringing in the crystalline frequency to reprogram his vocal cords and esophagus. While this was happening, I could feel the energy of the beings growing stronger. I could see their energy in front of me, and I asked if they had a name. At this point, there were 3 beings in front of me, one in the middle, one a little closer on the left, and one farther away on the right. Then I was shown a very large letter V. and it appeared to be in flames or very weathered wood because the tips of the V looked feathered and pointy. After I was shown this, I had a knowing that these forest guardians were called V. They were the guardians of the forest. Then I started bringing in the crystalline energy of Archangel Sandalphon from below in Gaia. This crystalline energy surrounded my Earth Star chakra and raised up through all of my chakras through the top of my stellar gateway. At this point, I felt my Kundalini energy moving up from my tailbone and weaving across my entire spine as if I was getting laced up on a shoe. As soon as this started happening, I saw a small egg-shaped being fly up and out from the left side where my neck connects to my back. This energetic disruptor could not handle the pure crystalline energy and went to the light. The new Kundalini frequency took time to weave in and time to weave into each and every single vertebrae. After the energetic disruptor flew out of my neck, then they guided Chris to open up the feast hall doors of his heart to walk to his throne. They instructed me that scraps are no longer to serve me and to claim my throne. The next thing to happen, I was dropping into my full crystalline self. I was in a crystalline cathedral with a crystalline path coming towards me and a crystalline throne. Once I sat on the throne, I realized that it was the same crystalline frequency that was in my throat, like the sound waves that I came from. This crystalline throne is where I sat in my light and in my Lyran essence. We also talked about the Eye of Ra and the Eye of Osiris that I can see out of both. This again is the balance with Grandmother Moon and Grandfather Sun. At this point, my breath was critical. The deep inhaling and exhaling and clearing of the sinuses. Something was coming through my body. At this point, a dragon came into the upper left part of my field. Its color was grayish-white with large scales. Its scales had a darker gray outline on each one. When I first saw the dragon, the back of its tail and body were facing me, and its head and neck were curled around to the left, looking at me. Then it disappeared to the left. Next, its face and body showed up directly in front of my face. Now I am face to face with this beautiful dragon. After we looked at each other, it flew off to the right, and I didn't see it again. This beautiful dragon was more serpent-looking than dragon, and very beautiful. After this, the energy started to subside, and we packed up our chairs and walked over to a small stone portal. At this portal were stone beings that created this energetic space, the sacred circle with raised earth. Then there was an X in the middle of the mound, created by two branches from the neighboring trees. As I walked into this portal, curving in from the top left, I could see and feel its energy. As I walked into the center, I could feel and see the energies moving clockwise and counterclockwise, starting in the middle and going outwards towards the edge. There were 4 layers of alternating energy. After I saw and acknowledged the energies, I heard what sounded like a stone lid sliding off of a chamber. When this happened, I could feel the energy coming up through my body, And at that point, I could weave the energy from the portal through my body and equalize the different energetic layers, kind of like a combination on a safe. I was moving my body and waving my arms and hands in a way that I have never done before, kind of like Tai Chi. As the flow of energy equalized, I was in the flow of energy. I finished with a hand gesture that I have never felt or seen before. My right arm was across my front, and the back of my right hand was turned upward. And then my left hand was open to the sky and came over, and the middle finger touched the bottom of my right wrist. It was truly amazing, a new flow of energy. September 3rd, 2025. Last night, I saw the face of an ant bean come in and out of my field. Then I was shown 5 people sleeping in sleeping bags on the face of a cliff, and then I heard cliffhanger. Later on in the night, I was shown a door wrapped in a chain with a padlock. Then I was shown the lock getting cut free. September 4th, 2025. Mexican hat dance. The hat was about 4 feet round, and it was very light colored woven material, like the Speedy Gonzales hat. I was dancing inside of the hat to make it spin, and I told my beloved this in the morning, and she told me that her dad would make her and her sisters do that dance as kids, and that they called it the Mexican hat dance. And today, we fly to Wisconsin, where she grew up. September 5th, 2025. Med bed, a medical bed. First night in Wisconsin. Last night, I saw a dark-haired woman laying in a med bed that was on a wide base pedestal. It had a lid like a clamshell, and it was open. I was about 15 feet away, and she had a very bright royal blue blanket on her, and it looked like she was on her side and turning over to her back. September 8th, our final night in Wisconsin. I was driving in a car down a paved road, and there were rocks on it. It looked like I was almost at the end of the road. Then the road curves to the right in the direction of where I just came from. And now I'm going home. Our work is complete. My next vision, September 9th, 2025. Last night I was shown an inflated blue moose with white antlers and short legs. It was about 2 feet long. I have no idea what that's about. September 11th, 2025. House clearing. Yesterday, on the 10th of September, my beloved and I were asked to a client's residence, to clear the energy in their home. In one of the rooms, the energy didn't flow. It was filled with wounded masculine energy. We needed to cut the cord to the wounded masculine and bring in the divine masculine and the divine feminine. Then completely clear the space with Archangel Sandalphon's crystalline light frequency. Last night, on September 11th, I was shown the wounded masculine frequency that we cleared. There was a man in prison. He was permitted to restore an old pickup, a 1950s style, and painted in beautiful canary yellow with chrome rims. He was always told that he wasn't doing good enough, and he had to keep redoing everything. September 12th, 2025. Last night, I was given a number, 2213. Is this a year in the future? Is this a flight number? Recently, we were asked to go to Maui to do portal work. This number, 2213, is a flight number from Honolulu to Maui. I think we're supposed to go to Maui. September 13th, 2025. Last night, I was standing in a small motel lobby at the check-in counter. To my right behind the counter, 5 steps went up to a long room that they were painting baby blue and white. The room was very bright with windows running along both sides of the room. I was waiting for someone to bring me a blanket or a jacket. I got tired of waiting and went outside. And then I jumped into the air and I started flying. As I was flying, I was dodging the power lines and then I landed in a backyard. My mom, who passed in 2019, was in the backyard in a shiny black SUV with the door open. She looked at me and she said, "So, you're flying now?" Then she said, "Hurry up and sign up for that class." So maybe we're supposed to get tickets to Maui. That's it for this episode. Thank you, everyone, and stay tuned for the next one. It'll be out of this world. And as always, shine your light and raise your frequency. And don't forget to hit that like button.